Look at other years, there's never been anything like that. And by the way, that's essentially in 2 months, not 4 months, because it took me a little time to get acclimated. But over the last 2.5 months, we're over $11 trillion is going to be coming. Apple.
And again, this is a totally made up number. The entire GDP for the United States is somewhere in the range of 25 to $30 trillion. This $11 trillion is made up the same way he says when he went to the Middle East that Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar invested 5.1 trillion, he says, when like the entire GDP of like Qatar is 200 billion. It makes up numbers. Here, Donald Trump further lies to the people, and just watch the routine of just these lies. He lies to the steel workers here. He says there's going to be no layoffs, no outsourcing, and everyone here is going to get a $5,000 bonus. And he's almost like taking credit for it. And again, we haven't seen the terms of the New Deal, and we know that this is going to lead to jobs being lost, but he'll just blame it on other people. Here, play this clip.
You're not going to have to even think about that. Frankly, it won't matter because they're going to be here for a long time, a lot longer than that. There will be no layoffs and no outsourcing whatsoever. And every U.S. steel worker will soon receive a well-deserved $5,000 bonus. That's very rare. Thank you very much. That's great. That's importantly. For what you've gone through a lot. It's closing, it's not closing, it's opening, and you want to stay here. People say, well, we'll move to another place or we'll do chips, or we'll do something like chips. Somehow you don't want to do chips. I'm looking at these giant guys with the giant arms. You're not going to like doing chips. Most importantly,
more lying from Donald Trump. He then stands in front of these steel workers and says that the 2024 election was the greatest landslide ever. He says it's the biggest landslide in 129 years. It's false. Donald Trump didn't even get the majority of the vote in the 2024 election. Here, play this clip.
I said before, and I'll say it again, we have the hottest country right now in just 4 months. But actually, you have to go back to November 5th. Since November 5th, that was election day, we had the greatest election victory, they say, in 129 years, the most consequential election in 129 years. I don't know what 129 years was, but we'll see. We'll check it out later on. We'll find out. Must have been something pretty good. But we have the most consequential. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote. We won the districts, 2,750 to 505. We're doing a job, and you're doing.
Do you see, though, it's just lie after lie after lie, to the people who are there, to the steel workers who are there. And, when he's called out on the lie, he'll blame judges, he'll blame the Japanese company, he'll blame Congress, and he'll be like, I didn't do it. But it's obvious, this is all just one gigantic fraud. Like this, Donald Trump says that last month we cut the trade deficit in half. Here, play this clip.
Last month, we also cut the trade deficit in half, and that's the story of today. They can't believe it. The numbers just came. We cut, before we even get started, actually, we cut it in half, the trade.
And again, it's just a basic fact check. We did not cut the deficit in half. Why don't I even just use Elon Musk's Grok, his AI, to fact check this? And you'll see, no, Donald Trump's claim that the U.S. cut the trade deficit in half last month is not true. According to the latest data, the U.S. trade deficit actually increased to $140.5 billion in March 2025, up from $134.5 billion in February 2025. So the deficit is going up and it's not going down. All of Donald Trump's things have had the reverse effect. I get asked a lot where I do my research from for things like that as well. And for seeing how this stuff is being covered by right wing and by left wing media, I use something called ground news. And so I took a look at ground news just to see who's covering this kind of fake terms that Donald Trump's pushing out there for this U.S. steel deal with Nippon. And as I look at the results here, you see that 49% of the sources are allegedly on the quote unquote center, which is deeply problematic because they're getting fed headlines. U.S. steel to remain in America, form partnership with Nippon, Trump says. Trump says. When you see Trump says, you should know that that is a total lie. Anyway, the research tool I use, it's called Ground News. It's essential to my research. You can get 40% off by going to ground.news/MTN or scan the QR code. We're going to give our viewers 40% off Ground News Top Tier Vantage Plan, which will get you unlimited access to all the tools that I use. Ground News is subscriber funded, so they don't rely on ads. That could also introduce bias. Subscribing supports our channel and their independent team working to keep the media transparent. That's ground.news/MTN. So go and check that out. Now, going back to Trump's disastrous speech right here, Trump, after lying to all of the people about the deficit, about bringing in $11.1 trillion. By the way, if all that stuff happened, it would be great. It's just all a lie. He says, you're going to be so happy. You're going to have so much success. You're not going to know what to do with all of your success. Here, play this clip.
Oh, you're going to be happy. You're going to be happy. There's a lot of money coming your way. It's a lot of money. You're going to say, please, sir, we don't want this kind of success. It's too much, sir. We can't take. Please, we beg you. We don't want this much success. But we do, really, don't we? We're going to be so successful. You have just started. You're going to watch.
I mean, come on. What are we talking about there, right? Like, and we have to really think about that though, because it's a reminder of how he campaigns and really when he's in office, how he campaigns. And it's just based on fraud. The people there are not going to be so successful that they're not going to know what to do with it. Go check back what happened with his 2018 steel tariffs. Go look at what's happening right now with the tariffs. People are losing their jobs. We've had jobless claims. Last week rose to 241,000. This is all a lie. But he goes there, he lies to the people, he defrauds them, and then he'll blame a Dr. Fauci or he'll blame a Jerome Powell. He'll blame whoever. Then Donald Trump talking about more lying. He talks about he built the wall. Play this clip.
But they allowed that to happen. I built almost 700 miles of wall. If we didn't have the wall, we could have never done what we did. Over 700 miles. But still, they came because they didn't want to finish. They didn't want to close up any gap, the gaps that we had to keep so that we could get our equipment out, so we could get through. They didn't want to put up the final stages. It would have taken 3 weeks to put up the final stages. They said, no, we don't want the wall built.
Then he says this weird statement about how, all of these steel jobs were lost, like taking candy away from a baby. Dude, you were in office before. You were the one who claimed that you were going to bring it back the first time around. But play this clip.
Trails and incompetence and stupidity and corruption cost this region over 100,000 steel jobs, and they melted away just like butter melts away. Between the year 2000 and 2016, more than half of all the jobs in Pittsburgh iron and steel mills were obliterated. They were just absolutely taken away. Like you take away candy from a baby.
Here, Donald Trump then claims and still believes that insane asylums and political asylum are the same thing. Play it.
They came from mental institutions, the mentally insane. They were pouring into our country by the millions. They allowed this to happen to our country.
And this very creepy thing that Trump is doing, he says that these accounts that kids are going to get when they're born, that he calls the Trump accounts, that every newborn child will get $1,000 credit the moment that they're born in their Trump accounts. You don't get more dictator and weird than this to call baby accounts Trump accounts. Play this clip.
And we're creating a special Trump account for every newborn child, starting them off with a $1,000 credit to be invested over the course of their life. A little baby is born, they're going to start off with $1,000. And if we do a good job of investing their money, we're going to go with one of the investing guidelines. Who the hell knows if they're any good, but they have a chance to be very rich. It's going to be very cute to see. We're going to follow it very closely.
So let's just take a look at what the United States Steelworkers Union is saying. Just because I think facts matter. Their headline is U.S. Steel Partnership announcements, more question than answers. The union hasn't seen the terms of this deal. I think it's an important thing to point out. The union hasn't seen the terms of the deal. They said if it's the 2023 deal, then that means Nippon, the Japanese company, is acquiring U.S. steel, not the opposite way. But Donald Trump and his regime members were out there saying, no. Nippon Steel is going to be folded under U.S. Steel, and it's like U.S. Steel acquiring Nippon. That's not what's happening. Nippon is acquiring U.S. Steel, and one of the things that we've seen with these types of